Alright, let's get this over with. I'm so sick of this project. Yeah, we're gonna have to use your laptop. Mine's dead, sorry. Okay, yeah, mine's just updating, sorry. Okay. So, any weekend plans? To be honest, probably just working on this project all weekend. Yeah, same, yeah. Come on, Ivor, think. This should not be so hard. Oh, awkward silences like those were a daily occurrence for the younger Ivor, and they left me feeling like just drained, no energy whatsoever, stressed, feeling like there was something wrong with me in a way, like low key. And because of that, social interactions for me were just exhausting. And that is why my advice for this video is going to sound so stupid, because it is to just try harder. Now that sounds so like demeaning and like just mean to say that to anyone. Like I would never say just try harder, except I am saying it right now. Awkward silences, they may be caused by a lack of conversational skill or a lack of confidence or something. But I've found that oftentimes for me, like most of my awkward silence is just because I wasn't actually paying much attention to the conversation and I should have just been trying harder. And this was for no fault of my own that I wasn't trying hard enough. There was all these things stopping me. And that is what this video is for. I have some tips which have helped me actually be able to try harder and be more present in conversations. And it's not always just actually putting in more effort. Because ultimately, like it's not that easy to just put in more effort. You can change other parts which will help you then put in more effort. So here is how to make trying harder easier, which should hopefully transform your conversations, make you just so much better. Because doing this has helped me become a lot better so far. So you should be trying harder to listen to people, remembering what they've said and actually processing it and thinking about it. You should be trying harder to think of what to say. Now that's going to be massively helped by just listening to people, but still. And then you should also try to have more present body language. So this takes mental effort to do each of those things. It takes mental effort to stay there and not just be like kind of looking around and closed off. And there's 4 reasons I found why I really struggle to do this. The first one is just plain laziness. It's very difficult to put 100% effort or even 80% effort into any task. Especially if you've had a big day, if you've had work earlier that day, you're just not going to have the energy to do it. And I'm not saying that you always will have the energy to do all this stuff, to listen really well. It's very difficult, right? But you can put in as much effort as you have there, particularly if socialization is a priority, which it is for me. I don't know about you guys. And so with the limited energy you do have, I find it hard to just use that all on socialization because, again, it's just very hard to use up all your energy, I've found. I've also found that if I'm just kind of distracted, if I'm thinking about something else, then I'm not going to have the effort, obviously, and the presence to put into the conversation. And so that's going to mess up my conversations. This also includes if your attention span is just a little bit messed up from scrolling, you're going to find it harder to be present and pay attention to the conversation. Also, if you are self-conscious, then that's going to stop you from putting effort into listening and paying attention to the other person because you're going to be paying attention to yourself. And that is the biggest reason why I think awkward silences are so draining for most of us. It's not because we're putting effort into getting out of those awkward silences. We're putting effort into thinking about how awkward they are, right? And so rechanneling the effort will help there. And I'll explain how you can kind of do that. And the last thing is that if we're not really enjoying the conversation, if we'd rather be talking to, Tom over there instead of Jimmy here, then we're not going to be putting as much effort into Jimmy because half of our effort is going to be thinking, oh, should I go over and talk to Tom? Does he want to talk to me right now? What do I tell Jimmy? All this other stuff, right? And so obviously I've got tips for that as well. So let's actually start there. Let's start with the wanting to go and talk to Tom. Either go and talk to Tom or talk to Timmy. Or Jimmy, whatever, I forgot what his name was. Don't split your attention, ever. Now, you obviously do have to assess at different times in the conversation who you want to talk to. Otherwise, you don't want to talk to Jimmy the entire time. That is not what I'm saying that you should do. Go and talk to Tom, obviously. But sometimes, right now, we can't talk to Tom, right? And so maybe like every couple of minutes, you would very quickly assess, okay, do I want to keep talking here or do I want to go over? And then you'd resume giving your full attention to whoever you're talking to. So it shouldn't be a constant kind of like, in the back of your mind thinking about it. It should just be a periodic assessment followed by a period of commitment. Now, I found that this is very hard to actually do in practice still, but I just remember as well that like, Timmy deserves to have my full attention, even if I don't want to talk to him right now. And Tom over there is going to look over and see us talking and be like, damn, I want to talk to Ivor. That guy's so cool. He's having such a good conversation right now. Whereas if Tom looks over and sees me talking to Jimmy and I'm just looking all awkward, he's not going to be very impressed. And so it's kind of my duty, both to Timmy and also to myself for my chances socially, to give him my full attention and to try. And I would also say that you probably shouldn't be so short-term focused. So like if you're having a bad conversation for 5 minutes, you shouldn't be evaluating like whether you should continue to talk to that person in the future, right? Like that's a bit silly. Now, when it comes to the issue of distractions and the attention span, like I mentioned earlier, if you scroll for an hour right before you go and socialize, like, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to pay attention to the person you're talking to. So a lot of people, like right before socialization, you've got like 10 minutes before you leave or something. What do you do in that 10 minutes? Well, there's not enough time to do some work or do anything productive, so you scroll. But instead, I would encourage you to prime yourself for that social activity by doing stuff I've mentioned in other videos, such as like, I don't know, just doing a little dance and warming up if anxiety is a problem or something like that. Or like thinking about what you're going to talk to people about, what you're going to follow up on. Or just like detox, meditate, find inner peace, something that isn't scrolling. And if you've done anything in the day or you're doing anything after socialization that's kind of on your mind, well, get that off your mind and onto a piece of paper by just journaling a little bit about going like, okay, well, this time tomorrow, I'm going to think about this, this, and this. And now I'm putting it on the page. I'm going to stop thinking about it now because it's not going to do me any help because I need to be socializing. And so acknowledging the stuff that's on your mind and thinking like setting a time for when you're going to work it out is a lot better than having it just constantly on your mind. And then there's the issue of being self-conscious. So this is a big issue. It's not one that you can solve overnight, but I find that it helps for me to relax my body and to smile and breathe. And that will help me be less self-conscious. And I also work through my limiting beliefs, such as like, well, why do I think these people are judging me? You know, I don't think that I'm judging them, so why are they judging me? And stuff like that I find helps. But this is not really the video for that. And then the last thing was just being lazy. So not finding it difficult to put 100% of your effort in, because our brains, for some reason, they don't like putting in effort. I don't know what, like it's a bit weird if you think about it, why they don't. But anyway, this is something I'm still struggling with, but what I've tried is, this tip is from a YouTuber called Newell of Knowledge. He's so good. He says that you should amplify the consequences of your actions. So say I'm talking to someone, I'm like, oh, I don't feel like, you know, actually like thinking really, really hard of what to say and thinking of better questions, not just doing the bare minimum to continue the conversation. That's another thing, by the way. It's very easy if you've had like a big day at work to just do the bare minimum to keep the conversation going, but it's not going to be very good then compared to if you were put in full effort. And maybe you'll get awkward and then you'll have to put in all this effort and all this anxiety will be triggered, and that's going to be more draining than if you just put in a lot of effort to start with, and then you're going to have a more fun conversation, which is going to be less draining, and there's going to be less awkwardness, which would trigger those high effort bursts. So I'm not saying that overall this is going to save you energy, but it is going to improve your social life and it's going to be kind of energy efficient. So I think it's pretty worth it if you ask me. So if I'm in a conversation, I'm just doing the bare minimum to keep it going, I can just go like, okay, what are the consequences of this? I always, in all the conversations, I get into the habit of doing the bare minimum. I don't have interesting conversations and I don't make friends. Instead of that, what's amplify the positive consequences? Well, I have really interesting conversations. I'm a charismatic person and people remember me as just being like a really social, good person to be around. That's way better, and amplifying the consequences to those extremes is going to help me act in the way that I want to act. And I will also remember if I'm doing really well, that I need to not switch off. Just because I'm doing well, the conversation is not over, so I need to keep going. So just because I've had an interesting conversation doesn't mean that I switch off my brain because, oh, I've done it. And then the conversation gets dry and then it goes awkward and I'm like, oh, no. And it's just this up and down, up and down. When you're doing well, keep doing well. You're doing good, like keep going. It's not like an, oh no, I might fail. It's a positive thing, like you're doing good, keep going. And then finally, sometimes the effort can just be fixed by a shift of mindset away from you and towards them. So if you're thinking about providing value to the other person and making them feel good, well, maybe then it's a little bit easier to put in more effort, because maybe if you're constantly thinking about, oh, what am I getting out of this? Well, that's just, obviously that's mental energy gone in its own, on itself. But it's also like but sometimes like you're not sure if it's worth it for you to be having this conversation, but it sure as hell worth it to them if you're providing value to them. So it's always going to be worth talking to someone else, right? Like maybe it's not worth it for you, but it will always be worth it for someone else. And so, especially if you're being nice to them, you know, you're trying to show interest in them, they're always going to like that. And so that's a way to remember that it's worth putting effort into. And then ultimately that's going to help you. So there is a whole bunch of strategies which will help you be less distracted, more present in conversations, and that will allow you to have much better conversations, avoid awkwardness before it even starts. And overall, that's just an efficient way to have more fun in conversations. So the only question left is, are you going to keep wasting energy getting out of awkward silences, or are you going to use discipline to put in effort initially, which will pay off more? So hope that helped, and have a great day.